What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to episode 3. We're going to be talking about who should coach the Carolina Panthers next year and who's the best fit, and everyone we've interviewed, and the whole list we have to choose from, and all sorts of stuff like that, and the GM spot that we can fill. And yeah, let's get into it. So, there are a lot of coaches out there, offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators that are showing interest that we have interviewed. We've interviewed a decent amount of people. I think it's like 11 or 12 so far. And but some of them, they would not be a good fit at all. So I hope there's 3 of them I'm gonna give that I want the most. That I'm gonna tell y'all that I want the most. That I think will be our best fit. And yeah, we'll do that at the end. But yeah, right now I'm gonna list you all the names and with the team they're on and how good they've doing and all that stuff. So first one, we got Ben Johnson. He's in the Lions. We've already interviewed him. If you see what he's done with the Lions, he's done amazing stuff with them. His play calling is beautiful. His players love him. He's so good under pressure, and you could tell that against the Rams in the playoff game. He's a great play caller. You know, his players are disciplined. Yeah, I think he's probably the guy we want, him or Bobby Slowick, which we'll get into. But Ben Johnson's he's done miracles on that Lions team. They are one of the best teams in the playoffs right now. They are one of the Super Bowl favorites. If they beat the 49ers, honestly, I could see them winning the Super Bowl. Yeah, Ben Johnson's play calling is top tier. You know, it doesn't get much better than that. And you can see they've transformed. They went from, I think it was 7-10 last year, and then 3-10 the year before that, and then now they're 12-5. So that should tell you how much of a jump they had. Ben Johnson is incredible, and I think he'd be perfect with Bryce Young. And then the next head coach we have is the offensive coordinator for the Eagles, Brian Johnson, which I don't think we've interviewed him yet, but I do not want this guy. He is the worst offensive coordinator I've seen, and if you've seen it over the past couple of weeks with the Eagles, he has drove the Eagles team into the ground. He's not good with adversity. He doesn't adapt to that. He just runs the same plays over and over again. The Eagles, all the Eagles do is RPOs and then run plays, and then the occasional deep pass to A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. You don't ever see anything else from them. There's always screen passes or trying to run it up or doing the tush push or something. They don't switch it up. They don't show different formations. They don't do any of that. They just do the same old stuff. And the 49ers played against them. They blew them out. They put the film on for everybody else on how to beat them. And then ever since the 49ers played them, only one team lost to them. And they went and lost 6 straight games. So, I mean, I don't really like Brian Johnson. He's not really – I don't think he's really fit for the offensive coordinator position. I don't really like him. And then our next offensive coordinator or our next head coach is Evero, which is our defensive coordinator, which he is amazing. You've seen what he's done with this defense, top 5 defense in the league. Even going 2-14, we're top 5. If our offense was competitive and had the coaching that our defense had, we'd probably be in the playoffs right now. Top 5 defense, even when our team was 2-15. I think he's great. I love him calling our plays. I love him coaching our guys. I think he lead us decently far. But then we'd have to find somewhere to fill out that defensive coordinator position, which Ron Rivera, the old Panthers coach, said he would be open to being a defensive coordinator if Evero was to take our head coach position. So, I don't know. I'd like to see that, but, I mean, Rivera hasn't really done great with the Commanders the past couple of years, so I don't really know how to feel about that. But, I mean, I guess just got to see, I guess. And then another head coach is Brian Callahan. He's the Bengals offensive coordinator. I don't think he's too bad. We see what he's done with Joe Burrow when he was a rookie. He's led it. He's been with them through the playoffs. I mean, he's a playoff coach. Um, I wouldn't have a problem with Brian Callahan. I feel like he'd be an all right fit. I feel like he'd be all right with Bryce Young since he already has experience coaching rookie. The next one is this is the one I probably want the most is Bobby Slowick, the Texas offensive coordinator. We've seen what he's done with C.J. Stroud. We've seen what he's done with that offense, blowing the Browns out, who have the best defense I think in the league. That was just crazy. His offense is insane. It's always different. It's never you don't really see him do the same plays over and over again or the same formations or anything. They always switch it up. They have great plays. I think he really uses C.J. Stroud like well. He's mentored him. He's coached him, and you see C.J. loves him. I think he'll be a great fit to Bryce. Helping Bryce in his second year. Um, I think Bobby Slowick's probably our best position we got. Be our best person to hire. And then we have Dave Canals. I think that's how you say that. He's the Bucks offensive coordinator. Either the Bucks or the Falcons offensive coordinator. We've interviewed him already. If he's the Bucks offensive coordinator, I mean, I wouldn't be angry at this decision to hire him, but I wouldn't be like excited. I mean, like, I like his play calling, but like, I don't know, man. I don't know if I could just trust him with. The Bucks didn't do very good. I mean, they're in playoffs. They're 9-8, but I mean, like, you see against us, our defense, the first game, it was 21-18. We lost that game, but they just couldn't really get anything going on offense. But then again, our defense was really doing really good that game. They intercepted Baker Mayfield a decent amount. I think it was one or two times. And the second game we played him, we went 9-0, which was horrible. But, I mean, we held him off. We only made him score 3 field goals. We've held him off from scoring touchdowns. So, I mean, I would count that as a win. Not let them score. But, I mean, we didn't score anything either. So, I mean, it kind of really sucks. And then the next head coach position is Frank Smith, which is the Dolphins offensive coordinator. And, I really wouldn't have a problem with this one either. I think he's done great with Tua. He led their team all the way to the playoffs. I think they had some pretty good play calling. It's just, I think if they didn't play in the conditions they played in Kansas, I think they would have it would have been a closer game, definitely. But given the conditions, the offense was kind of like iffy. They weren't able to do much, really. They weren't able to call plays they really like to call. They weren't adapted to. It wasn't normal to them. It was kind of like, you could tell they were not used to it. There were some penalties they did, dropping the balls. I just don't. I think it was better conditions. Dolphins would have definitely put up a fight against Chiefs, but it is what it is. I like Frank Smith, but then again, I like Bobby Slowick or Bench Johnson way better, coaching our guys. And then the next one is the Raheem Morris, which is the Rams defensive coordinator. We've already interviewed him. He's not bad. You see the fight they put up against the Lions. Stopping the Lions, only losing by 1 point isn't bad at all, especially against the Lions. And your team was 10-7, and the Rams were in a rebuild here. They weren't even supposed to be in this position. They're supposed to rebuild. They only had 5 people from that Super Bowl team back. They're supposed to, just rebuild and come back next year. But Puka really showed out. Puka was an absolute steal in the draft. But you can't really know with those guys because, late picks in the draft, they're either, you just never know with them. And Puka just happened to be one of those guys that just was naturally amazing in the rookie year. But yeah, Raheem Morris, I think it'd be a crazy duo with Morris and Evero together. 2 great defensive minds. That'd be insane. But yeah, the next head coach, or he's not a head coach, but he's the Cowboys defense coordinator, Dan Quinn. I do not want this at all. If Dan Quinn is hired as our head coach, I will never be a fan of this team ever again in my entire life. Dan Quinn is terrible. We saw it against the Packers. We've seen it all year. Actually, he's not. He's not good. He's not good at all. He gets bailed out by his great defense. He is the freaking X-Men on the defense. Like, it's crazy. You have Micah Parsons, Stephon Gilmore, Van Der Esch, which I think he was injured this year, Dexter Lawrence, or not Dexter Lawrence, what's his name? It's Lawrence's last name. I forgot his name, but you get what I'm saying. But yeah, Dan Quinn, no, that's a big no. I do not want Dan Quinn at all. I'd rather have Chris Tabor or Frank back at head coach than have Dan Quinn at head coach. The next one is Todd Monken. I think that's how you say that. He's the Ravens offense coordinator. We've already interviewed him. Honestly, I wouldn't have a problem with him either. He's put the Ravens. They're in the AFC championship game. He's done great with Lamar Jackson. I don't think it'd be bad either. He's a winning coach. What we need is a winning coach. We need a coach who can win, a coach who's used to winning, like Ben Johnson or Brian Callahan or Bobby Slowick or Todd Monken. Frank Smith even. They are all playoff coaches who've been in playoffs before. They've won games. We need a winner. We keep hiring these losers like Frank. He had one of the worst seasons at the Colts as a head coach. He did terrible. And then we had Matt Rule, who was, I think he was, I don't know if he was a college coach before. He coaches college now, but I don't know what he was doing before. He was horrible. We're just not good at hiring head coaches. We don't hire winners. We hire losers, and that's our problem. Is when we hire a loser, they have that mindset. Once they start getting down in the season and they start losing, then they're just sticking to the losing. They're not going to. They don't have any motivation. They don't know how to motivate your players. You're not used to being in a winning environment. We need people who are used to winning on this team, and that's what we need the most. But the next coach is Mike McDonald. He's the Ravens defensive coordinator, and I think again, Mike McDonald and Evero would be a crazy matchup together. You've seen the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense is to me, it looks just like the Panthers defense. You got two good linebackers. We got Shaq Thompson coming back, and we got Frankie Louvu. And then their line is crazy, just like ours. We have Derek Brown, Brian Burns. They have who do they have? They have Javion Clowney, and they have Roquan Swissem linebacker, but he blitzes a lot. And then you have Queen, too, on the line. That's just – I think our defense looks a lot like the Ravens' defense. And I think two defensive coordinators who are just great minds like that together, I think it'll be great. But still, again, I think Bobby Slowick or Ben Johnson would be better because especially Bobby Slowick, because you've seen – he's coaching a rookie right now. He's a winner too. I think this is his first or second years of offensive coordinator. I'm not sure, but he's a winner. He's already been in the playoffs. He knows what it's like to win. He knows what it's like to coach a young guy. And CJ obviously is he's obviously doing a good job because look at CJ. They're doing great. They just got eliminated yesterday, but still, dude, as a rookie going to the divisional round, that's great. Bryce Young is still better, though. I think Bryce Young, you give him time in his career, he's going to be greater than C.J. Stroud when he has weapons and he has an offensive line. And I will argue with the wall with that. I don't care who it is. I'll argue that Bryce Young is better. But that's all the coaches so far that we've interviewed. Yeah, honestly, anybody besides Brian Johnson, Dan Quinn, or Dave Canales, I don't know how to say his last name. If we don't get those three, I think I'll be fine with it. But I really hope we get Bobby Slowick, but we'll just have to see. Ben Johnson's kind of iffy because if they go to the championship or in the Super Bowl, I don't see him leaving the Lions. I see him staying with the Lions. But you got to see, I guess. So that's all the coaches. And let's talk about the GMs now. And the GMs we have, they're kind of iffy, but there's a couple good ones. I only was able to find 3 GMs that we've for sure interviewed. We have the Giants assistant GM Brandon Brown, which I mean, it's not terrible, but I mean, like, it's an upgrade from Scott. Anyone's better than Scott. Scott might be the worst GM in NFL history. The trades he made, the hirings he made, it's just, how can someone be that dumb to trade away all of our draft capital, our star wide receiver, our star running back, one of our best defensive players, Hassan Reddick. We've given everyone away. Like, we have all these stars, and we give them away. Could you imagine Hassan Reddick on that defense now? We would have Hassan Reddick, Derek Brown, Tuttle, and Brian Burns all on that line. Dude, that'll be a insane defensive line. And then we have Shaq Thompson and Frankie Louvu, the linebackers, and then Dante Jackson. We put Jeremy Chin back in at safety, make him play more. He only played 30% of snaps this year, or I think it was 38%. Last year he had 70 or 80%. Jeremy Chin deserves time on the field. He has proved it before and before. He is a decent, or actually more than decent, he's a pretty good safety. I think he deserves way more time on the field. But yeah, I don't know why I went on that rant right there. But that defense would be crazy if we still had Hassan Reddick. But no, Scott had to trade him away. Scott had to trade away Chris McCaffrey. And you see all these players leave us, and they start doing amazing. Just tells you how bad our staff is, our front office, our team overall. We had freaking Sam Darnold running starting quarterback for a couple of years, which honestly he didn't do very bad as I thought he was going to do. He was actually pretty decent. But dude, it's just, could you imagine those people if we had them now on the team? Like, I think we'd definitely be in the playoffs, or maybe not in the playoffs, but at least won 6 or 7 games. Because if Bryce Young had that, if he had DJ Moore and Adam Thielen and DJ Shark and Mingo as his 4 receivers, dude, that'd have been crazy. That'd have been insane. He would have DJ Moore to rely on all the time, and then if he didn't have DJ Moore, he'd have his Adam Thielen, and it would have been, I think it would have been great. But we traded DJ to get Bryce, and I have full faith in Bryce. I feel like we still could have stayed at the pick we were at and pick up a quarterback. I'm pretty sure we were at, what pick were we at? I don't know. I think it was like 4 or something, 4 or 5. But, I think we could have moved up if we just would have drafted or traded. I feel like we traded too much, is what I feel like, what I'm trying to say. Like, we traded this year's first-round pick, our star wide receiver, and then another pick next year, I think, and then a pick this year. Like, dude, that's a lot. But, I mean, we have our franchise quarterback, so it'll work out. The next GM is Eagles assistant GM, Alec Halaby. I don't know how to say the last name, to be honest. Honestly, Eagles, I'd be fine with this. The Eagles get everybody. They make great trades. The Eagles have the Avengers right now. They have a great team. They can just trade for anybody. They got Kevin Byard last year. They took Hassan Reddick from us. They have great trades. I wouldn't be opposed to having the Eagles assistant GM, Alec Halaby, I don't know how to say his last name. I wouldn't be opposed to that. And then we have the Chiefs vice president, Brandon Tillis, which honestly wouldn't have a problem with this either. From what it looks like on paper, he looks pretty good, but I guess you never know until it actually happens and you can see it for yourself. But yeah, that's all I think about for coaches and GMs. I think coaches, we could have a huge upgrade if we get Bobby Slowick or Ben Johnson or a winner, like I was saying earlier. And then GMs, anyone's going to be an upgrade from Scott. The list I read from, anyone want to be an upgrade from Scott. The Giants as GM though is kind of iffy, but I'd give him a chance, see what he does. Oh, dude, Scott was just horrible. I have faith this season. I think we're gonna do good this season. Hopefully, we have a good offseason, pick up some big players, and just improve overall. I'll see you on the next episode. See you.